You are watching a simple way to understand God using symbols and numbers. My name is Goodall, and I encourage you to question everything that I'm about to share with you. I encourage you not to blindly trust anything that I'm about to present, but simply to allow it to inspire you to find a truth that works for you. I share this information not to convince anyone of anything, but simply to share my perspective of a deep and profound truth that's transformed my life. So what I'm going to share today is a concept of understanding God, creator, or conscious universe. And I use those words interchangeably because I know that the word God doesn't resonate with everyone. So I use the word God, creator, conscious universe, the all, or whatever term that you prefer. And the concepts I'm going to be sharing with you in this video are found in all types of spiritual systems all throughout history. Some of these symbols can be found in Qabalah, Alchemy, Gnosticism, Taoism, Hinduism, Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Shamanism, and other systems. What I'm going to share with you is a very simplified, refined version of how to understand this grand, complex concept of God. And although I'm sharing it in what seems to be a simple way for me, depending on where you're at in your studies and your development, these concepts may seem very simple to you or very complex or a little confusing. If you're not finding that you're able to fully grasp the ideas in the video, I challenge you to watch it more than once. Take notes, draw the symbols yourself, and see if they begin to speak to you in a different way. Depending on where you're at in your journey, you may retain some or a little or all of this information at different levels. Each time you watch it, you may comprehend the information at a different level of understanding. The more often you watch this video and the more often you challenge the concepts I'm sharing and study the resources that I'm presenting, the more likely that the concepts will jump out to you. So the first symbol I want to share is the number 0. This number is particularly important as a point of reference to begin everything I'm going to share with you today. When I talk about the number 0, I'm talking about no thing. In the Hermetic Qabalah traditions, the 0 represents nothing, but not nothing because even the idea of nothing is something. The thought of nothing, the concept of nothing is a thing. So we can't comprehend the idea of nothing with the human mind. It's just not possible. So we have to just use our imagination to really grasp this concept. Some of the other ways that this idea of nothing is presented in some of these systems is like the Virgin Mother. You may have heard the concept of Virgin Mother in traditions like Catholicism or Christianity and some others. The 0 represents the womb of all creation, the darkness, the nothingness. And from the 0 came the everything. From the Virgin Mother came everything. Some of the other traditions, like the ancient alchemical and Egyptian systems, refer to this idea as the goddess Nuit, or the goddess of the sky, or the goddess of the night. So the 0 representing nothing is a precursor to the number 1, which represents the all or the everything. And as you can see here, if you're a scientific mind, you might be able to creatively ponder the idea of binary code. The entire universe can be expressed using 0s and 1s. First we have nothing, and then from nothing comes everything. From this point forward, all of manifestation, everything in the manifested universe, comes from the number 1. And as I go deeper into the concepts today, that might make a little bit more sense. When I talk about the all, the everything, I might also be talking about God, creator, universe, also represented by the Trinity, which I'll share that symbol and my perspective of it here shortly. What else have I got written down here? And the Word. So you may have heard the phrase, at first there was God, and God was the Word. So the Word is the manifestation of creation. And of course, before we have the Word, we have to have a breath. So first there was God, and God was a word. Before we can speak a word, we have to breathe in the masculine and breathe out the feminine. So breathing in, and then we express the word through the expression of the breath. So in some traditions, the in-breath is considered the masculine, the out-breath is considered the feminine. In other traditions, it's the opposite. The in-breath is considered the feminine, the out-breath is considered the masculine. I don't think this detail really matters all that much. I might be getting too complex for some people, so I'm going to slow it down. So again, the first two very simple symbols to comprehend the idea of God, creator, or conscious universe are just zeros and ones. So from nothing comes everything. So from the Virgin Mother comes the all, the everything, God, creator, conscious universe, Trinity, or the Word. In some ancient systems, they don't believe that God is a father or a masculine figure. They believe that God is actually everything, masculine, feminine, and the composition of both. And in even older traditions, there are some thoughts that God is perhaps the mother, the Virgin Mother, the womb of all creation. Even though we can't comprehend the idea of nothing in our human mind, that doesn't mean that the concept is void of substance or void of meaning. We're not able to comprehend a lot of things with the human mind, including the quantum realm and the energetic realms and the deeper realms of physical reality and non-physical reality. So the zero representing nothing is not something that we can comprehend with the human mind, because nothing is nothing. It's void of substance. The only way to truly express the idea of nothing is to say nothing. To say nothing at all. So from the zero comes the everything. From the Virgin Mother, from the Goddess Nuit comes the all, the everything, God, creator, universe, or the Trinity, or the Word. So the Word is the code, the zeros and ones, the code behind the universe. I'm not going to get too deeply into what the Word means to me, because we would be getting into the Egyptian systems and the Hebrew systems and the ancient hieroglyphic systems, and that was just too much for this video. So I'm going to keep it simple. So the first two symbols I want to share are the number 0 and the number 1, because from here everything else exists. From here everything else manifests. From the number 1 comes everything. So you might imagine that, well, if the number 1 represents creator, and that's every color that could exist, then every human being would be an individual color, an individual version of the number 1, but still just the number 1. Because there can be nothing else besides the all. People argue about my God, your God, this God, that God, different gods and different spiritual systems. But if we're humble enough, we have to accept there can only be one God. There can only be one all. There can only be one everything. There can only be one. Just by the simple idea of zeros and ones, by nothing and something. In order to fully comprehend the idea of creator or God, we have to accept that there can be only one. Now, there can be many ways of interpreting or understanding this all, or understanding the creator, but there really can only be one creator when it comes down to it. Now, there are many different symbols that are used to express the idea of God, creator, conscious universe, the everything or the all. And the symbols that I want to share are the symbols known as the tetragrammaton, also known as the six-pointed star. And I'm not incredibly skilled at drawing the Om symbol, but you can use your imagination. If you've never found the Om symbol before, you can look it up. OM is the best way to find it. The other symbol is the Yin-Yang symbol, used in Taoism, Tai Chi, Qigong, Kung Fu. Popular symbol used by Bruce Lee, one of my biggest influences in my development as a martial artist and in spiritual studies. And then other ways we can imagine the all is through the Trinity. There's an upward pointing Trinity and a downward pointing Trinity, and I'll explain the differences, my understanding of the differences between those in a moment. So the tetragrammaton is probably most popularized in Judaism, but it's been used in many other types of spiritual systems throughout history. In fact, from my understanding, Judaism adopted that symbol from some ancient Hindu systems, which outdate modern Judaism. And that's just my understanding. Don't take that literally. Do your own research, as I always say. As you can see here, the yin-yang symbol also kind of symbolizes the Trinity, because we have the masculine is the white. Oops. The masculine is the white, the feminine is the black, and then in a little bit of white inside the black, a little bit of black inside the white, and then together it creates the all. So we have the masculine, the feminine, and then the all. So we can see that in the Trinity, which I'll show in a moment, the masculine, the feminine, and then the all. Or in other words, the Father, the Mother, and then the all. The Father, the Mother, and then God. The Om symbol, in my understanding, represents the Word of God. You can take the Om symbol and break it down into all of the vowels in the English language and other languages as well. A, E, I, O, U. So when we pronounce the Om, it's Aum. And if you're creative, you can imagine A, I, O, U. And then the M at the end closes the vowel. So we start with a very wide ah sound, like the alpha and the omega, Aum, A, I, O, U, and then we close it with the M at the end. Just my interpretation. You can, again, find your own truth. The Om symbol for me represents the breath or the Word of God, the creation of reality. So first there's nothing, then there's the breath, and from the breath comes the Word. The Tetragrammaton, which I'll explain much more deeply in a few moments, represents the masculine and the feminine energies together in perfect unity. Very similar to the yin-yang symbol. The yin-yang represents masculine and feminine energies in balance, and the Tetragrammaton, or the six-pointed star, or the seal of Solomon, or the Star of David, also represents a perfect balance of masculine and feminine energy. And that's very important, as I'll be sharing in a few moments. So the first symbols I want to really get into a little more deeply are the symbols of the Trinity, because I think these symbols are a great way to begin to imagine this idea of God, creator of our conscious universe, and how we're all connected to it in our own ways. So the first Trinity I want to share is the Trinity, upward pointing Trinity, the triangle that has a point on the top. So if we imagine God, creator of our conscious universe, at the top of the triangle, we can imagine the masculine energy at the bottom right and the feminine energy at the bottom left. In the ancient Kabbalistic systems, the tree of life, the very top aspect of the tree of life is represented by the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3. And in the tree of life, and pardon my pronunciation, I don't have any Hebrew teachers, so I'm left to my own devices to learn, but we have Keter, which is the crown. And so if I was to write that here, you'd see it like this. Keter, the crown, and Chokmah, which is the represents the father or wisdom. And then we have Bina, which represents the mother or understanding. So the crown, the everything, wisdom and understanding. So my understanding is wisdom comes from the above. Wisdom comes from our own higher self, from our higher understanding. And understanding comes from our experiences. So if we imagine the masculine energy as the light or the unmanifested energy, we might imagine the feminine energy as the darkness or the manifested energy. So when you look in you look at this room right now, you see the things that I'm sharing, and you see me, I am a manifestation of both the light and the darkness. In order for you to be able to see me, there has to be some darkness, and then there has to be some light. If I removed all the light from this room, then you would only see darkness. If I removed all the darkness from this room, then you would only see light. So there has to be a balance of the two in order to create our experience of reality. So the first Trinity I want to share is the Trinity of the God, masculine and feminine. Now the masculine and feminine might also be expressed as the Father. Let's just get rid of this for now so it doesn't distract us. The Father and the Mother. We might also understand this as the King and the Queen. We may also see it as Shiva and Shakti. We might also imagine it as Osiris and Isis, and I could continue to go on and on and on and on. So there are many different associations with these different archetypes. We have the masculine, the feminine, and God. Now, every other archetype that exists in the spiritual systems, including on the Tree of Life and the other systems, there are some Taoist versions of the Tree of Life as well. they're all really just manifestations of these three. These three ideas are the one manifested into three. So whenever you think of God, creator, or conscious universe, remember a moment ago I talked about the zeros and ones. Well, 0 and 1 really exists as 0, 1, 2, 3, because it has to. In order for creation to exist, there has to be contrast, there has to be duality. There has to be a separation of masculine and feminine energy, and when they converge together, they become God, creator, or conscious universe. This is the first Trinity I'd like to share with you. Now, the next Trinity is where things get a little more interesting. And by the way, some of the concepts I'm going to share with you here, depending on your spiritual background, they may be a little bit offensive, they may be a little bit triggering, they may challenge what you've been taught and what you've learned your whole life. If you're open to learning at a deeper level, I challenge you just to suspend that trigger, that emotional feeling, and just be open-minded to what I'm about to share with you. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe what I'm sharing. You don't have to adopt it as part of your spiritual studies. I share with you only to plant the seeds and to challenge you to see your world in a different way. The next triangle is the feminine version of the triangle, the feminine trinity. And in this trinity, again, we have the father up here, or the masculine. We have the feminine over here, or the mother. So interesting that in the English language, interesting to me at least, because I'm kind of a nerd for this stuff, the F in father is contradictory to the F in feminine. The M in mother is contradictory to the M in masculine, which kind of tells me again how there's a little bit of masculine and a little bit of feminine in each other. But that's just my nerdy way of seeing these things. So we have the father and the mother, we have the masculine and the feminine, we have the king and the queen, and then you might be wondering, well, what's down here? Well, this is the holy child. This is the manifestation of the masculine and feminine as they come down into the lower realms of the physical reality. So a moment ago, I shared with you the higher trinity, the God, Father, Mother. That's the higher realms. And in Kabbalah, they call it the supernals. This is the higher realm of reality, beyond our comprehension. But now we're starting to understand God as it manifests into the Holy Child. So another way we might call it the Father, the Holy Spirit, if you're Christian or Catholic, and this might be represented as the Son. So the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, or as I like to call it, the Father, Mother, and the Holy Child. So this Trinity is particularly important to me because it helps me understand that reality, the reality that we live in, is inverted, as the ancient alchemists would say, as above, so below. And so we can imagine as above, so below when we take the other triangle, the one we shared a minute ago, and lay it over top of this one, with God up here, Holy Child down here, Father here, Mother there. And then we start to see that, oh, wait a minute, God is a reflection of the Holy Child. And that's important for us to understand if we want to understand who we are as human beings. And I'll get more deeply into this idea in a few moments. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this symbol, the six-pointed star. So I hope that makes sense. So these two different versions of the Trinity help us understand the manifestation of how the masculine and the feminine energy comes together to create the Holy Child, the Son, if you wish. And the reason that the ancient systems called it the Son wasn't because they were sexist or because they were trying to discount the feminine. As you'll learn in a moment, the Holy Child exists in a realm above our human comprehension, our human manifestation. Everything above in these ancient systems is considered masculine. Everything below is considered feminine. So the earth is considered feminine, the sun is considered masculine. Everything above is considered masculine, everything below is considered feminine. That's important to understand in a moment as I go deeper into these symbols. So just to recap on what we've shared so far, we've got the number 0 represents nothing. This is the Virgin Mother, the womb from which all things spring forth, the goddess of the sky. There's an old phrase, I can't remember it exactly, but something along the lines of the goddess of the sky. All things have sprung from her womb. From everything has come out of there. All the stars, all the planets, everything has come from the womb of creation, from the goddess of the sky, the goddess of the night, or goddess Nuit. So we've got 1 represents nothing, Virgin Mother. We got 0, sorry. 1 represents the all, creator, conscious universe, God, Brahma, Atman, whatever you want to call it. Actually, Atman wouldn't be applicable here. That'll be in a few moments. And then from the 1 is then further manifested into the Trinity, 1, 2, 3, God, Father, Mother. And then as we go deeper into the manifestation, deeper into the, as these energies, as these higher energies begin to condense, they become into the Holy Child. And they continue to come down, which you'll learn in a few moments. I don't know if, yeah, you can see this. They become us. And that's what these systems are really trying to teach us. They're trying to teach us how we are a reflection of, or a manifestation of, the Creator. We are a manifestation of God. And I'll explain more about that shortly. So now getting into the next symbol is the tetragrammaton. The 6-pointed star, also known as tetragrammaton, also known as the star of the macrocosm. Macrocosm meaning the big everything. And again, if you're somebody who's particularly well educated in these systems, I might be annoying you or triggering you with my explanation of these things. These are my perspectives. These are the insights that I've received from higher self, from God, creator, or conscious universe. This is the way the information has showed up for me. So I have different teachers and mentors and coaches and shamans who I work with, but I don't have any teachers who have taught me a strict dogma. What I'm sharing with you is my perspective and my understanding and the teaching that I've been told to share with the world. So the star of the macrocosm was symbolized in ancient times by 4 Hebrew letters called Yod, He, Vav, He. You might recognize these symbols because they also make up the words Yahweh, Yehovah, Jehovah, and many others, many different names and meanings behind these. Yod He Vav He is a very special symbol. It's a hieroglyphic symbol. It's not just a word. It's each of these letters has important meanings, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. This symbol is also the tetragrammaton, and as a geometric symbol, these 4 letters, these 4 Hebrew letters, are presented as this symbol. So this symbol and these words are synonymous with each other. Now there's something really interesting that happened in the Holy Bible, the English translations. They changed this word Yod He Vav He to the word Lord. And I think that's sad because the word Lord doesn't have near as many meanings as Yod He Vav He. When we understand Yod He Vav He, we understand everything there is about the universe, honestly. These 4 symbols, when fully comprehended and fully understood, can unlock our consciousness so that we understand far more about the universe than we can possibly imagine being able to understand without it. So Yod He Vav He represents a lot of different things. You see that? Yeah, okay. So first of all, it represents the 4 elements. Excuse me. Fire, water, air, earth. These 4 elements were an ancient classification system to help us understand the entire universe. Everything in the universe, it can be categorized by these 4 elements. The light in this room is categorized by fire. The liquid that's helping my body move around is water. The air I'm breathing, the oxygen I'm breathing is air. And then my physical body is manifested of earth. Everything in the whole universe can be classified using these 4 elements. It's really important to understand. They also represent 4 fundamental archetypes of the human being or the human existence. The father, the mother, the son or brother, and the daughter or sister. We all carry these archetypes inside of us. We are all manifested of these four archetypes. We all play the role of father. We all play the role of mother. We all play the role of son and brother. And we all play the role of daughter and sister because we are these elements. The fire is the energy in my body. It's the electricity in my body. My nervous system is governed by the element fire. The water is all of the liquids in my body. Air is all of the gases in my body, and the earth is my physical matter. We are literally a manifestation of these four elements, and we are also a manifestation of these four, or six, if you wish, psychological archetypes. Father, mother, son, brother, daughter, sister. We all have those aspects of ourselves. We may be biologically male or female, but we're actually a perfect manifestation of masculine and feminine when you understand these deeper ideas. Now, there's another really interesting concept. Oh, one more thing first. So these symbols also represent different directions. So maybe I'll put the directions over here. Actually, we're not there yet. I'll show you that in a moment. These, in the ancient Kabbalistic systems, these four letters also represent the different planes of existence. So we exist in the material world, or the material plane, but there are three planes above the material world that we can't comprehend, we can't perceive with our human mind, and they are the formative world, the creative world, and the archetypal world. So the top world, represented by the element fire, the archetypal world, this world is the world of pure ideas. So the example that I learned is when you think of the idea of sitting. Well, in the archetypal world, the idea of sitting is simply the will to sit. That's it, just the will to sit. As we manifest down further, the will to sit becomes a blueprint or a plan, a diagram in our mind of a chair. So again, right here we have the will to sit. And as the will to sit manifests further, it becomes the blueprint of a chair. As the idea of the will to sit manifests even further, it becomes the process of creating the chair, the mental process of creating it. And then when we get even further, it becomes the actual physical chair. So again, if you can imagine, and this is deep stuff, so this might be a little further ahead than where you're at right now, and that's okay. You can just ignore this part and come back to it later. This is the newest concept that I've been working on, and I've been studying this stuff for 5 years now. So this might be a little deep, but regardless, these are the planes of manifestation. So the entire universe, God, creator, or conscious universe, exists in these four worlds. So we have the chair itself. We have the process of creating the chair, which exists beyond the physical realm because time is necessary to create the chair. Then we have the blueprint of the chair, the actual idea of how the chair is created. Then we have the will to sit. Up here, the chair doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist because it's way beyond the realm of physical reality of the blueprint or the process of creating the chair. So it's just the will to sit. So the Yod He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton, also represents these four worlds. Now that might be a little further ahead than where you're at, like I said, and that's okay. Just I'm planting seeds here, so maybe you come back to this in 10 years from now and it makes sense. So again, these Yod He Vav He representing fire, water, air, earth also represents the four directions: south, west, east, and north. Now, as you notice, the Tetragrammaton has an upward pointing triangle, so it also secretly represents the direction up. It's got a downward pointing triangle, so it also secretly represents the direction. Can you see that? Yeah, barely, huh? And then it also represents the direction down. And then right in the middle here, we have the direction center. So the Tetragrammaton actually represents 7 directions. So that's how I can imagine God, creator, or conscious universe existing in 7 dimensions. I'll explain why that's important in a few moments. So again, the Tetragrammaton here represents Yod He Vav He. In the ancient systems, it was the name of God in the Hebrew Bible, but we translated it to the word Lord. We took away all of the meaning when we did that, because this is a hieroglyphic symbol. These letters, if you study the Hebrew language, which I'm not overly versed in, I'm just very, very beginner, each of these symbols represents endless amounts of connotations and associations. There are so many different meanings behind these letters. I'm not even going to get into them now because it's not necessary. But again, they represent fire, water, air, earth, father, mother, son, daughter, south, west, east, north, and then it continues to go from there. In fact, if you just look up the words yod, hey, vav, hey, you might get none of this. You might get none of these ideas. So the tetragrammaton, the first symbol, the star of the macrocosm, the star of the everything, also represents the 4 elements, fire, water, air, earth. It represents the 7 directions, south, west, east, north, up, down in the center. It represents the 6 archetypes, father, mother, son, daughter, or father, mother, brother, sister. And it continues to go on from there. So now we're going to get into the next very important symbol to help us understand God, creator of conscious universe, and our relationship to that idea. And again, it's not necessary for you to be religious or to subscribe to any religious systems to understand and take advantage of these ideas. In fact, that's my real motivation behind sharing this stuff, is to help you understand that faith may be necessary, but dogma is not necessary. So the next symbol is called the pentagrammaton. You might know it as the pentagram. This symbol has been abused a lot in our history. There are various pentagrams, grammaton. There are different pentagrams. There's an upside down pentagram which represents something very different. This pentagram with 1 point pointing up represents unity. With 2 points pointing up, I'm not even going to draw it. With 2 points pointing up, it represents duality. So if this pentagram was reversed, it represents duality or separation or suffering. It's a symbol that's used in some darker, not so, maybe in some cases not so, I don't even want to judge it, just some darker systems. But this symbol is not that symbol. This symbol represents unity, and it's the star of the microcosm. So remember, I said the star of the macrocosm is the star of the big everything. The star of the microcosm is the star of the little everything. Okay, this symbol represents the 5 elements. So remember, the tetragrammaton represented 4 elements. Well, this symbol represents 5 elements. So we've got yod, hey, shin, vav, hey. And in order, they are fire, water, ether. Pardon, I'm not sure what the noise is outside right now. Hopefully you can't hear that too much. And earth. So fire, water, ether, air, earth. This is really important because if a person fully understands this symbol, they can heal any trauma, any pain, any childhood trauma, any behavior patterns, any addictions, any kind of emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual pain. If a person understands this symbol, they can fully heal it. And I say that with humility. I say that because I've been guided to share that truth. As you'll learn in a moment, I've written a book about this, which you can learn about in the description. It's free to listen to on YouTube, or you can download it for free as well. I think the video just started over again, but great, we're still here. So the 5 elements also represent the 5 bodies. So the fire element, or yod, represents the spiritual body. The water element, or hey, represents the emotional body. The ether element, or shin, again, pardon my pronunciation if you're a Hebrew and you're listening to my pronunciation, I might be offending you, and I don't mean to do that. It represents consciousness, or the self. Vav represents the mental body. And hey, which you see there are 2 here, water and earth are connected because they're both feminine, represents the physical body. So these 5 elements represent yod, hey, shin, vav, hey, or the spiritual, emotional, consciousness, or the self, the mental, and the physical bodies. These bodies are a manifestation of what we actually are. And in terms of the spatial directions that I talked about earlier, again, we have south, west, and the center, east, and north. So some people ask, well, why aren't there 7 directions in this? Well, because this is 7 elements, or 5 elements rather. The tetragrammaton represents the 7 directions, northeast, southwest, up, down, and the center. But as the star of the microcosm, we only represent 5 directions because we are 5-dimensional beings. Now, the reason that this is so important is because our, maybe I'll get to that in a moment. I'll share it when I share the other directions, or the other concepts behind this. So the Yod He Shin Vav He, the ancient pentagrammaton symbol, which again is represented as the star of the microcosm, the little everything, is this word Yod He Shin Vav He. If you're creative, you might see the word Yaheshua here, which is the root word of the word Jesus. I'm not going to get into anything else there. I'm just going to plant that seed. If you want to learn more about what that means, it's probably not what you think. This symbol represents our higher self. Yod He Shin Vav He represents our higher self, our soul at the higher level. Below the tetragrammaton, below the level of God, creator, or conscious universe, but above the level of the human being, which I'll share with you in a moment. So to put it in perspective, using all the symbols I shared with you so far, we've got the 0, which is nothing. The nothing manifests into the everything, represented by the tetragrammaton. Oops, let's do a little better than that. So the Virgin Mother produces the cosmic egg, the everything, the all, the creator, the conscious universe, which exists in the 7th dimension. And we have 7 spatial directions: northeast, southwest, up, down, and center. Again, this isn't to be taken literally. This is just an analogy to help you understand these ideas. I could be corrected, I could be wrong. People could tell me that I'm completely out of my mind, and that's fine. It helps me understand these ideas, and that's the only reason I'm sharing it with you. So the all, the 7 directions, the creator, conscious universe, continues to manifest even further and becomes the 5 elements: fire, air, water, earth, ether. Some people say, well, why is the everything, why doesn't it include ether? Well, that's a deeper concept, but because ether represents the self. God, creator of conscious universe, can't know itself without the self, without the higher self. Coming down further, we get our stickman friend. That's me, and well, I guess I'd have to have some long hair if it was me. That's me, it's you, it's every human being that's ever existed. So 5 dimensions. Easy way to remember that is because there are 5 elements and 5 directions: northeast, southwest, up, down, center. And then we have us existing in the 3rd dimension, perceiving the world in 3 dimensions. The directions don't apply to that, so it's not as easy to. There's no cohesiveness in that way. So the reason that this is important, the reason that all of this is important, is because these 5 elements represent our 5 bodies, and when we understand our 5 bodies, we can understand how we create suffering for ourselves. In the ancient Kabbalistic teachings and alchemical teachings, there are 2 very important sayings: as above, so below, and as within, so without. What these phrases mean is that we are a reflection of the all, the creator of the conscious universe. The entire universe is a reflection of you, and that the universe is also, a God, creator of conscious universe, is a reflection of you, and you are a reflection of it. As within, so without means that what you're carrying inside of your 5 elements, inside of your air, fire, water, earth, ether, what you're carrying inside of you becomes outside of you. So the easiest way that I like to imagine that is the 5-pointed star existing inside the 6-pointed star. And then us as human beings are right in the middle of that 5-pointed star. So what we carry inside of our 5-pointed star becomes our universe. So let me give you an example. Every choice you make and every experience you have creates an energetic signature, which I call a program. A rabbi I respect calls it says every choice you make an angel is sent down to the earth. If you sin, if you make a choice that hurts others, or if you steal, if you sin, if you lie, if you cheat, an angel comes down to earth and annoys you. So you get a flat tire, you drop your phone in the toilet, you get a pimple on your face right before an important date. I like to think of it more using technological terms. So every choice or experience creates a program, like a computer program, just like a computer program. And the program is either an empowering program, so we could say it's empowering, or it's disempowering. An empowering program creates a belief and a set of habits that allow you to become a better person. If you make a choice to get up early and exercise, and that creates a program of self-worth and self-love, and as a result, you feel better about yourself and you create a life that reflects that. On the other hand, if you sleep until noon and you get up and you smoke cigarettes, you drink alcohol, you don't take care of yourself, you lie, you cheat, you steal, you create disempowering programs, which then create a disempowering experience of reality. I call a disempowering program a virus. It's almost like a virus. So I'm going to take this diagram off just to sort of share with you a little more deeply how our choices become our programs and how our programs become our experiences of reality. Because again, I'll leave it right at the top so I can stress the importance. As within, so without. What you carry inside becomes what you experience outside. If you imagine that you're dreaming right now and you suddenly woke up, you would know that Ricky wasn't really in your dream. I'm not here in your dream. You are both the character in your dream, experiencing your dream, and you're creating the dream world. I'm here to experience your dream experience, or to support your dream experience. I'm not really in your dream. I'm having my own experience over here. You're having your experience over there. Because we live in a quantum realm, we can't imagine reality as objective. In other words, that you and I are existing in the same reality. Quantum science suggests the idea that we might be in a subjective reality, which means that your reality is unique to you, completely unique to you, that everything that you experience has in some way or another come from you. Now that can be deep, that can cause experiences or emotions of loneliness and fear, but that's not the intention. At a higher realm, we all exist together. But in this physical realm, we're all existing individually, experiencing our own individual subjective reality. And so the way I kind of think about that in terms of how our choices and our experiences create our reality, this is my favorite way to kind of understand it. So if we take the Yod, He, Shin, Vav, He, the elements again, fire, water, ether, air, earth, every experience we have acts almost like a slider. You know, when you're turning up your temperature, hot or cold are both extremes of heat. In the Kybalion, the Hermetic philosophy, the book about the 7 Hermetic principles, they talk about how the law of polarity, everything exists in polarity, up or down, left or right, hot or cold. Hot and cold are both degrees of the same thing. They're both degrees of heat. Extreme cold and extreme hot are both heat. They're both the same thing, just different ends. So likewise, every choice we make either leads to more faith or more fear, more pain or more pleasure, more connection to our Creator or to the universe, or more disconnection, more empowering beliefs and words and habits, or more disempowering beliefs, words, and habits. And finally, more tension or more relaxation. Whatever we're carrying in these bodies, in the 5 elements, goes up into the universe, up into the higher realms, up into Creator, and then comes back down and creates an experience of reality for us. So every choice we make stores in our 5 bodies, in our 5 elements, like a computer program, like a virus or a program that's helpful. And then as a result, because as within, so without, because what's inside of us reflects outside of us, we either create a experience of more faith, more fear, more pain, more pleasure, more connection, more disconnection, more empowering beliefs, more disempowering beliefs, more attention or more relaxation, and then therefore more suffering or more peace in our lives. Yod He Shin Vav He, the five-pointed star, being our higher self. I'll leave you with this mic drop moment. The higher self, Yod He Shin Vav He, is the Christ within. Or if you're Egyptian, the Horus. Or if you're Greek, Apollo. We can go Quetzalcoatl, we can go Yeshua. There are many different archetypes that represent this self within. Or Krishna, if you're of Hindu origin. We exist in the three-dimensional plane. Our higher self exists in the fifth-dimensional plane. God, creator of conscious universe, exists in the seventh-dimensional plane. Every choice we make gets stored in our self, gets stored in our five elements. If we clean our five elements, if we purge all of the programs, all of the negative experiences, if we redeem ourselves for our sins, if you prefer to use that terminology, if we redeem ourselves, if we cleanse ourselves, if we heal ourselves, if we let go of the pain we've been carrying our whole lives, then all of our elements begin to work in harmony with one another. They begin to exist as one element. So instead of existing as five individual elements, faith, fear, pain, pleasure, connection, disconnection, empowerment, disempowerment, tension, or relaxation, they begin to exist as one element, which the ancient people called Yeshua, which we might know as Jesus. Therefore, my theory is that Jesus was never the name of the man we know 2,000 years ago, but the title he was given for the work that he'd done on himself. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you learned something here today. I hope that it's opened your heart and your mind to something deeper, to a different way of understanding creator, conscious, universe, or God. If you want to go deeper into your learning, I have a book called The Rise of the Authentic Self, where I share that I believe we are all this five-pointed star at our core, and that by cleansing and healing ourselves, we can become our higher self, our authentic self, or if you prefer, our Yeshua self, or our Christ self, or our Krishna self, or our Horus self, or our Quetzalcoatl self, or our Apollo self. There are many names for this self that exists inside of us. When we cleanse ourselves, we get back to our authentic state, the state that we came into this world as, and we can create for ourselves heaven on earth. Because when we are living in harmony with our creation, when we are living in harmony with the universe, there's no more pain, there's no more suffering, there's only peace. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to listen to my book, The Rise of the Authentic Self, please check it out in the description of this video. You can download the MP3 files for free, or you can listen to the video on YouTube, again for free. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment on it, let me know, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with somebody that you think could benefit. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.